What a day. This
What a
September
day.
30th, 2025.
Yeah.
It has been eye-opening. I would say it has been revealing. It has
for sure
stirred a lot of emotions. And the best part is we're just getting started, baby. There's still more to come.
Yep. Yeah, I don't know if that's the best or worst part. It's the intriguing part for sure. It's, facts. Man, I can't, should we just jump right into it?
Yeah, let's just jump right into it.
Also, in other news, we lost to Houston in heartbreaking fashion.
Wait, I think we should still cover that, but let's save that for a little bit because I think this is current, this is pressing. This is intriguing. This also has a ton of question marks all over it. I think we all know what happened against Houston, and it's fun to debate or to agree, and it's just interesting to hear others' perspectives. This is a situation right now that Oregon State has put itself in. I think that is publicly unprecedented, if I can go that far.
For sure.
Yeah,
for sure. And I saw someone post on X today, would the feelings or would the vibes be different if we were winning games? And maybe, but it's still this could not have happened. This coming to light could not have happened at a worse time for Oregon State.
Weird that is a recurring theme with this athletic department regime where it's geez, this really happened now after all these things? How? Mm-hmm. How could that be possible? This is episode 190 of the Belligerent Beavs Podcast, and here we are, maybe finally putting sights squarely on the athletic department that we have been very, very, very supportive, sometimes called out for it, for our beyond overt support of the athletic department. But this is an episode that's a bit different. And I think to give any listener that isn't privy to what is currently happening or has come out with the, I guess, big news for Oregon State, Sportico released an article, a report today that outlined everything we've been concerned about, questioning, wondering for the last 2+ weeks on the show, on social media, on YouTube. We've been questioning things like who is who is Rob Sine and what's his connection to Brent Blaylock. We've asked things like, because of you, Benny, surfacing that report from 3 years ago, that Blueprint partnered with University of Nevada, and it was disclosed that they were taking a 20% rake on all brokered NIL deals. And it was very clear that there was some strangeness between the relationship of Oregon State's athletic department and Blueprint. And then it became very obvious that nobody knew the answer to what is Oregon State's percentage they're paying Blueprint. What does their involvement look like? What does my donation actually go to at this point? We had heard rumblings. We had dug into a few things. We had made that connection between Rob Sine and Brent Blaylock beyond just this arrangement. And then we had reported that the cut that Blueprint was taking from Oregon State made the University of Nevada's cut they were paying 3 years ago look elementary.
Look like a sweetheart of a deal.
Yeah, estimated 60% based upon what we had known. Well, now it's out. Sportico laid it all out. They got
and had the receipts.
They got. This is what's interesting to me, and I'd love to hear your thoughts are on this. They got the service agreement without redactions.
Yep.
Now, as somebody that's gone through the public records request with Oregon State and read the fine print and understands what exactly they may or may not deliver to me, if they deliver anything at all, they have a right to redact information that they don't think is pertinent to the request. They have a right to redact information that they think could be detrimental to the university, that could be or detrimental to beyond the university, the people involved in the university, the student athletes, or the markets that they operate within. Nothing, at least in the first 4 pages, that seems to have all the information you really want in that service agreement was redacted. How did Sportico get that?
Probably another huge blunder from somebody in the athletic.
I am leaning in that direction as well. Whether it was a blunder because it just was an intentional attention put towards not doing it and still did it, or if it was just a pure ignorance, like, this doesn't seem that important. I don't follow football. Here you go. Yep. Either way, what got out today validated what we had assumed, one, and painted Oregon State's athletic department as it currently stands in an incredibly terrible light.
Completely inept, completely void of any ability to negotiate.
And throwing Oregon State fans and donors who have really hung by its side through all of this chaos under the bus. I mean, it's outlining that we were sold out, period, as fans. We were just completely sold out. Like, one, the rates are beyond acceptable. And I know now there's people who have taken a breath, paused, thought things over, and said, well, we actually don't know what that, the going rate of an NIL operator contract is. So maybe this is like par for the course. And in a way, that's a totally fair and agreeable position to be on. But we had a collective that was doing things the right way, operating in a way that wasn't going to let Oregon State get taken advantage of for a bag by agents seeking their share of their clients' contracts. We were growing NIL, we were transparent, and we had, as we've talked about even before all this stuff came out, that the department, really anyone involved in the business side of athletics, Oregon State, we need Beavers involved. And that's what it was. That's literally what it was.
Set up in the most ideal way possible.
And now you tell me if this is ideal, Benny. Our agreement with Blueprint Sports is an annual management fee of over $280,000 a year paid by the school to Blueprint, plus profit sharing. And the profit sharing has to really first, but not entirely. If you keep reading through the contract, it has to hit a $750,000 baseline in order to kick in the profit sharing. So there's some benchmark motivation, I guess, for Blueprint to deliver. What that $750,000 basis leans on, I don't know.
I think raising $750,000 is pretty much a guarantee for a school like Oregon State.
Maybe, but maybe that was what our average had been over the last 5 years, right? Or 4 years, whatever. I don't know. Like, I honestly don't know the answer to that. And it's maybe reasonable to assume that it might be what we were close to, right? We did have that $1 million fundraiser that was put on by Damn Nation, and we hit it, and it was really cool that we all came together. This is post Jonathan Smith, but it's almost like the profit sharing arrangement kicks in at $750K. At $750K, like, think about this: at $749,000, Blueprint makes nothing. And I'm gonna do the air quotes because I can maybe talk about it in a second. At $750,000, they take home 75% of that.
That is like, I had to reread that number several times. I couldn't believe that. And that's 75% of revenue. So that would be 75% of anything that like a local business goes in to pay a student athlete for NIL.
Profit. This isn't like a net profit. This is literally revenue. This is cash in the door.
Anything, any money that you donate to the collective would go into that essentially anything that touches NIL in any way, any money that touches NIL in any way, they're taking a 75% cut of that. Only 25% of that is actually going to the intended cause of that donation.
Until we hit 1.15 million in revenue. At that point, this just feels so much better. They only take 50%. Like, think about those benchmarks. $149,000. They take nothing. Cool. Maybe we should strategize for that, because in order to get to that point again, we need to raise $1 million. We need to raise 25% more money to get to that same point again.
Yeah.
And then after that, it's 50%. So even when you get to the 1.15 million, you're still kicked back down to 550 whatever million, or 1,000. Sorry.
So what would we need to? We would need 1.5 million. You either want to generate $749,999 or above 1.5 million.
Okay, so I've seen this argument on X today, and actually, we'll give him a shout out. Shout out to Andy Snacks, our old unpaid intern that wrote some phenomenal pieces for the Dive. Big good friend of the pod. I've known him forever. Great guy as well, and a diehard Beaver. But he posed that same question, and I think it's fair, but I think it's flawed. He said, if Oregon State raised $1 million last year with the old regime of damnation, and then this year Blueprint raises $3 million, but so we net 1.5, isn't that an improvement? And I'll let you answer that one first, because I do have an answer.
Well, okay, so is it an improvement money-wise going into the program? Yes, but I would push back and say, like, what is Blueprint going to do to generate over 3 times the amount of money that was generated before? I mean, Oregon State's fan base is only so big. There's not 3 times the amount of money that's just sitting out there to be donated to Oregon State. Like, I just don't understand how that would even be possible.
And if there was, and I think there's a ceiling here. I think that's what you're getting at, is there's a ceiling here. And I would much rather patiently wait out until we reach that ceiling and make sure that there is some good faith transactions occurring where people who donate enough money to get us to $3 million all are excited about their donations and want to continue to donate, because they know that every penny that they brought in, as much as feasible, goes to the cause that they donated for. But now, 1.5 million is better than 1 million. Like, that's not an argument. It's a greater integer. Like, that's just how math works. But like, it took 3 million to get the $500,000 more instead of 1.5 million to get the $500,000 more. And that money doesn't just appear out of nowhere. It's out of people's wallets.
And and here's the other part. The economy is not good right now. Like, people are struggling out there, and to even suggest, and the athletic department hasn't said anything.
Nothing.
So this is an assumption.
I mean, an admission. It's an admission to all of this through silence. Period. It's their own fault right now.
For sure. And I think based on the deal that they put together, or that they signed off on, you would sure hope that their expectation would be that we would generate at least $2 million or more to just get us to that $1 million mark that we hit last year. I think that is such an insane take, and shows how out of touch this athletic department is with the current situation of the country right now, where people are struggling. Like, it just doesn't make any sense to me. It doesn't make any sense how the athletic department would think that we would have more money in NIL by going this route than if we just stayed with the damn collective as it was before.
Are they out of touch or are they out of shits to give?
Probably that. And they absolutely got bent over a barrel with this negotiation process. Like I've just never seen a deal in any business circumstance, like, or outside, like a deal period. I've never seen a deal period that was as bad as this deal was.
Yeah, I agree. Actually, Angie Machado, the legendary Angie Machado, posted earlier about the same thing and did say you can hire fundraisers for less money to raise just as much or more. So what in God's name told anyone within the department who signed off on this that this was a good deal for Oregon State, for Oregon State student athletes, for Oregon State donors, for Oregon State alums, and for Oregon State fans? Because right now, their silence is deafening. The fact that they have not addressed why this is good. Even the initial announcement does not say why this is good, other than they're going to propel us into, the new age of NIL and college athletics. Like,
it's just corporate jargon.
It's just jargon. It's just jargon. 100%. It's just jargon. And that one little cherry on top, and I think it'd be interesting to break down a little bit about these numbers too, and I have some insights, but no matter what happens, they get their $284.5K per year for the next 3 years. Blueprint.
And does that come directly from the school, or does that come out of the pocketbooks? I don't know that.
It is out of the pocketbooks of the coffers. If it's from the school, I don't know what's worse, honestly. And I think it's almost equivocal. Like, I don't want our school paying somebody $300,000 a year. And I sure as hell don't want the fans and donors to do that either. But they get that no matter what. They actually get that no matter what happens from this point onward. If they
raise nothing. They could raise nothing.
They could raise $0 and we'll leave with $840,000 by the end of it all. And if we walk at any point and cancel any time, we pay the remaining management fee through the lifetime of this contract, which is the 3-year contract. So we're in it for almost $1 million already. And they still get a 1.25% compensation on any NIL activity on the top, no matter what. They don't even have to hit. They get hit $1. They'll still get $0.0125. So we're paying them, even though the report led with the whole idea that they don't get anything until they hit the baseline. They do get 1.25%. It's not a ton, but it's still something on top of the flat rate management fee that we have to pay every year.
Right. And even if they hit that $750,000 and then 75% of all revenue goes to them, they also still get to skim that 1.25 off the top. So it's really 76.5 or 76.25. Like, that is really what it is.
Yeah, it is. That is really what it is.
Plus the 200
earned.
What was it? What's the annual baseline fee? It's $280K.
It starts at $280. It goes to like $250 or $2,850 or $285, and then it goes to something else beyond that. And it said, like, in the service agreement, it was incorrectly typed, I believe. It said like 255 again. Maybe it dips into year 3. I'm not saying that's out of question. But year 1 here, I'll pull it up. I have those pages. Thanks to Sportico for posting at least a partial of what they had. So year 1 is $280K. Year 2 is $287.5K. Year 3, even though it says earlier it's a 3% increase every year, but then year 3 is $285.225K. It very well could come down to year 3. And there's a bit of a swoon about the level of work that Blueprint position themselves to need to do in year 2, and they might be right with that assessment, but it's too on average.
Okay, so let's think about it this way. If you hit $750,000 and they take $280K of that, and we're paying them 75% of that, we would be operating at a net negative. We would literally have no money to give to any students, yet $750,000 from Beaver Nation, from the hard-earned money, like truly the hard-earned money from Beaver Nation. It is a blue-collar school when it comes down to it. Like, it really is. And so you take $700K away from members of Beaver Nation, and all of that money goes to Blueprint. Literally all of that money goes to Blueprint. And when we raised $1 million last year, and that was when the fucking sky was falling and people banded together and there was this like unwavering support for Oregon State. Like, I don't know if we're going to hit that this year. I'll tell you from what I saw on X. When I saw people on X today, it was a lot of people saying that they're going to stop giving donations.
Why do you think people donated?
But when, like, last year?
Yeah.
Because there was a rallying call, because Oregon State was being left in the cold, and Oregon State was being left behind, and people didn't want to see that happen. And there was this true fight and grit from Beaver Nation to try to keep things afloat.
But the trust made that an easy choice.
Sure. There was no reason to not trust the athletic department at that point.
And we had every reason to trust every other force that pushed us into this corner that we're in. We had every reason to not trust ESPN, every reason not to trust Fox, every reason to not trust really anybody outside of our own, university circle and Wazoo. But now we've just literally brought in someone that no one knows, that no one really has trust for, and that nobody really understands the relationship, how it came to be, what it entails. Now we know a little bit what it entails thanks to Sportico, but we still don't feel, at least not to speak on behalf of every Beaver fan, but I would imagine that people don't feel as confident about giving money to a business that has zero affiliation with Oregon State as students or fans or family, and is merely there as a business to generate profit, which is what businesses do, because that's the way they survive. And so now we know the numbers.
And I would say this, like, I heard this analogy the other day. It was, trust is gained in drops and trust is lost in buckets. And I think that bucket is like toppled over right now for the Oregon State Athletic Department. But you mentioned that they're profit driven, right? And I think that's really important to keep in mind when you think about things like it goes from 75% to 50% profit share once we hit that $1.15 million mark. So if we're at, let's say, $1.1 million, are they going to stop fundraising? Because they're going to lose.
Work?
Yeah, they're going to lose a lot of money if they fundraise, $50,000 more.
Yeah, exactly. Have you ever heard about salespeople sandbagging their quota?
Yeah.
This is a common commercial practice.
Yeah.
That we have now just gifted to somebody else to do to us.
Yeah. And quite honestly, they would be absolutely horrible at their job if they didn't cut off
that
ability to donate.
Yes.
At that point.
Exactly. Or, hey, let's slow down our efforts about engaging fans, donors, partners, businesses. We're getting close, but the year's almost up. And that's 25% diff on our profits if we put in even 2% more effort.
Yeah. You'll see social media posts and just communication in general start dropping off once we've hit that $1 million mark, for sure.
And also, just like salespeople who go, damn, my quota 1 million this year. Okay. I got $1 million quota I'm holding. I'm at 1.05. I've got 5 more deals that are almost over the finish line, but I'm going to hold off on reaching out to those people. Why?
For sure.
Because that's going to put me at 300K and 30% of my quota next year.
Yep.
And that will take me no effort. I am ahead of the train right now.
Yep.
So why bother? And
again,
like
not even just not like why bother, because that is absolutely common practice, but you would actually be losing money if you let those deals come into the current year.
That's the same reason, because if you're paid on commission and you hit quota and there's no more accelerators beyond that, why would you try to make more commission when you can't?
Yeah.
When you can make more commission if you back pocketed that deal for later, a week later. Doesn't matter when.
Yeah. And you would have decelerators if you continued to raise money. Like it would be, I guess what I'm trying to say is there's no way that we're going to raise 1.15 million.
Period. It's not happening.
No.
It is not happening. If you think that 50% looks better than 75, that is literally a pricing practice that's been used for eons. Let's show them the more expensive side of it all that they really want but can't afford, that makes our less attractive pricing still look reasonable.
Yeah. Yep.
It's the same idea.
If it was 50% across the board, no matter what, even if you had that $750,000 threshold, right? 50% would be, I would be as irate as I am right now. Like 50% is completely unacceptable. 75% is just, I mean, it is literally laughable. But yeah, like there's no way that we're going to hit 1.15 million. It's just like, it's not possible.
But now it's really not.
Yeah.
Because if you're privy to this at all, you're not going to donate towards the end of the year when you're trying to get your tax-free donations. Even they've tried, Blueprint's actually tried to go tax-free with things, and then I believe they got sued and no longer do this, or they were very much under IRS thumbs and didn't want to continue with their foundational arm. Sketchy. But if you're sitting there and you go, I've got money that I need to get rid of, it's the end of the tax year, what do I do with it? And you think, oh, let's donate to Oregon State, and you've heard, or you can see, or you just assume that they're close to that threshold. Do you really want to be the one who puts them over? Where now Blueprint rakes in more of the cash, literally more of the cash than they actually would deliver to Oregon State student athletes than before.
You're talking about if we're at like 740,000. Why would you donate?
We're at 1.1.
I mean, I don't want to donate to Oregon State's NIL collective at all right now, but I think if you're at 1.1 and you have $50,000 to spare to put Oregon State over the threshold, so they would have to pay less to Blueprint, would make sense. But if you're at 700,
but they wouldn't pay less.
Oregon State would.
They would.
Oregon
pay
State
them,
would pay.
They would pay less, but I still feel like they're taking more. Like, yeah. I guess you're right. At that 0 to 75 is the biggest jump. But in general, I'm just saying, if you're going to cross the threshold, I don't know. Maybe you're not just contributing to the next threshold's floor, but either way, you're considering in your head, where are we? And is there going to be transparency? Right now, it doesn't seem like there's going to be any. So how are you going to know? How are you going to trust how close you might be to a threshold, or how much your donation might put us into or over a threshold? I just think there's so much concern about the lack of transparency in general, and not fully understanding what the ramifications are of your funds being donated to the collective, that Oregon State has screwed itself. It has screwed itself.
I mean, I guess if you're considering donating, like I just, for myself personally, like worst or best case scenario, I should say, is you're donating under, and we're under that $750,000 mark, and you know that out of that $750,000, $280,000 is going to Blueprint. That's best case scenario.
Yeah.
Right. So
Other
I don't
than,
know.
Yeah, being
Like,
under.
right. Well, but if you're under 750,
Oh, right, yeah, 280.
right, because that's less than 50%. I don't know what the percentage is.
And the 1.25% annual whatever fee, which I'll get to both of those in a second.
Right. But yeah, like that's best case scenario. One other thing that I wanted to touch on is like, or I guess two. So first of all, with transparency, I think that we are living in a fairy tale world if we think that Oregon State is going to give us anything of substance other than try to spin this in a way that makes them look as least bad as possible.
They're not going to spin this. They're not going to spin this. Their best case scenario is that all of us stop talking about it.
Oh yeah, but I'm saying, like, okay, you're right. That is what they're hoping for. But I think with the pressure, like Canzano was talking about this, Dirt and Sprague was talking about this. Like, I think Oregon State's going to be forced through just the pressure of their fan base and through the media that they will have to come out and say something. That's just what I think. And I think if they do, we're high if we think that they're going to come out and not
give us
try
the full
to spin
truth.
this.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's
totally.
no way. There's no way.
There's no way, because the reason why it was so quiet, again, is because this was a bad deal.
Yeah. Terribly bad.
And I'll get to it in a little bit. But here's a couple other things that are interesting. And we don't have to go too thorough into these, but I do want to bring them up. That $200K includes, well, the service agreement includes 3 full-time on-site staffers from Blueprint that are essentially in-house, not in-house Oregon State Athletic Department employees. Oregon State Athletic Department has to provide them with all the infrastructure, like a office and the internet, but everything else is paid for by Blueprint. Salaries, equipment, maybe travel, I don't know. But nothing lists what those positions are. Nothing lists what those salaries will be. So, not to like get too deep into it right now, because I think we're going to still find out more details, and we will find out more details.
Yeah, we for sure will.
The fact that we're paying them $280,000 a year for what is referred to as a management fee, and we're also paying them 1.25% of all NIL compensation administered, that is alluded to as a contract administration fee. All of this is, to me, in a shady way, telling me that these are Oregon State employees masquerading as Blueprint employees, not the other way around. It is, we pay a Blueprint, and we also have the ability to request replacements if performance isn't adequate in all the other terms. Sure. So we, as an Oregon State, so we're paying them money to provide us 3 employees on site that they pay so that we can like skirt around the in-house NIL allowances, like for who can be an employee and be participating in NIL. Smart, not saying, hey, bend the rules. That's fine. Ask for forgiveness later. That's fine. These are things that I live by, and I am okay with it. However, where's Kyle Bjornstad? Yeah. Where is Kyle Bjornstad? Because as the founder of Damnation Collective, the public story was that he left the collective because he was brought in-house by the athletic department. And at the point of the sale, and then of course it was almost immediately afterwards, it was at the same time it was announced that Blueprint was going to take over the collective and purchase it. But at the time, it seemed like that kind of makes sense, because there's a lot more coming in-house that NC2A is allowing a little bit more around rev share and financials between the university and students. So why not have the person most experienced at our school with the whole paying student athletes thing come in-house and help lead that charge, I didn't really bat an eye to it, and because it made too much sense.
It did.
But now there's no record of him on the staff directory. Well, there is, but it's from his very long ago, which is 8 years ago, but very long ago position as like chief of staff within the athletic department in 2017. And it's like a cached page that has no details other than his name and an old email address and an old title and like a, gray
portrait.
Portrait, like Facebook avatar that you'd see on on some like fake profile. And nothing else about him being the GM, as reports claimed. And at this point now, actually, I can't find anything from Oregon State that claimed on domain that he would be part of the athletic department in that role. Some of this to me feels like if Oregon State's paying Blueprint that much money to then provide us with 3 employees that they're likely paying that much money to, that one, we're just either taking money from donors to pay for Oregon State employees, or Oregon State is paying for employees that are part of a collective and therefore should be theoretically disassociated with the university.
Mm-hmm.
And the fact that either option doesn't include the guy who founded the collective to begin with is concerning.
Very, very concerning. Very concerning. And so one other thought to this, because I know this has been the plea of Oregon State fans for a long time, is Jensen Huang. And Oregon State fans have maybe in a pipe dream been hoping that he might step up to the plate. But let me ask you this. Jensen is a smart businessman, maybe one of the smartest businessmen. Why in the world would you donate, let's just say, an absurd amount, $500 million, if you know that $250 million of those dollars are not going towards the thing that you're donating that money to? It essentially cuts off any chance of that. Any chance. Like there's no way that anybody that is smart with money would donate that much money knowing that half of it is going to.
Yeah.
And here's the other thing. If you're Jensen and you have somebody from your alma mater that comes in your door and you guys have that in common, you're able to sort of talk on their level of having that commonality. Okay, maybe you sit and listen. If you have some, and I don't want to generalize, but like random salesperson that comes in, I have to imagine with a used car sales type of pitch, right? Of just like almost cold calling. He has no idea who you are. He has no affiliation with you. And you're asking him to donate money to a university that you have no affiliation with other than having worked on campus, not even been employed by them, but working on campus for a matter of months. He's not going to listen to you. And on top of that, his money's not going to what he wants it to. So like that door is closed. That door is no longer open at all.
That is very concerning.
Yeah, our saving grace is not coming to save us. Like that's not happening.
I didn't think about it in that realm because I was thinking a lot about the whole like the $100 donor, even the $1,000 donor. What are they going to feel like when they think my $100, $75 of that's going to go to paying this company that I didn't want to come in here and manage this? I would happily give $100 to the past damnation regime, more so than I'd give $25 to the new one that I have no affiliation to. That's a good point. If you read the contract, the first 4 pages reveal a lot, and we're going to get the rest. We are going to get the rest, and we are going to scour through every detail. But it's very, very, very straightforward that every dollar, not donated towards NIL, every dollar that can be considered NIL revenue that touches OSU's intellectual property, media rights, streaming even pre-existing donor agreements and contributions is going to Blueprint in this agreement.
Yeah.
This level of like mismanagement by the athletic department is unfeasible.
Could you imagine Blueprint walking out of that negotiation?
They go, holy shit, what an easy win.
They said yes. That was our first pitch. We were willing to go back like half of what we pitched, but they said yes on the first pitch. Well, they had to have been slapping each other on the backs, man.
Unless it was known that there'd be a yes.
Yeah.
There's rumors that we've been told anonymously and otherwise. We're not naming names, but we've been prying for details around the sale process. Who was involved? Like, what third parties were interested, right? How do we land on Blueprint? The end game doesn't mean it followed the true result of what you assume to be an evaluation process, which I think a lot of people would easily default to. And that's why it's important to point out, just because we landed on Blueprint does not mean that Blueprint won the chance to buy their way into our collective. What it means is that they ended up with being able to buy the collective. But what we know is there are people internally that did not want this to go down. They did not want it to go the way it is. There are people internally that seem to be motivated for it to go down the way it had.
Yep.
And for the party, the suitor, to buy in as our collective operator because there are some sort of ties.
And we've named those ties. And I don't think it's outrageous or irresponsible to reiterate that Brent Blaylock is at the center of this.
Yes. He's all over it.
Yeah.
He's all over it. And at this point, there's been nobody coming. Well, not maybe nobody. We can maybe save this for in a little bit, but there's been nearly nobody of substance coming to us to say, you're wrong. You've got this all wrong. Let us help you set it straight. Again, the silence is deafening. The silence is the scandal. Like the silence is what is concerning. Why hasn't OSU explained the process of the sale? Why hasn't OSU talked about there being like a competitive bid or RFP, or that this was like a preconceived, preordained relationship that they knew they wanted to get to? And here's why. Like, I don't care how we got there, but I need an explanation as to why. I think a lot of fans do too, but nobody has said anything. The only connection that is publicly available and very obvious is that Brent Blaylock and Rob Sine know each other.
Yeah.
They know each other from either previous professional circles. They know each other maybe more than that.
Yeah.
But they made it clear. Yeah. They made it clear that they were happy for each other, that this deal, crossed the finish line.
And I just go back to, we talked about this the last time you and I did the episode without Terry, which I think was 2 weeks ago. But if I'm Rob Sine, the CEO of Blueprint, and I just signed Oregon State, am I congratulating the deputy athletic director? No.
And only them?
I am congratulating the athletic director. That stuck out to me at the time as being odd, but I didn't read too much into it. But now it definitely connects some dots. And I just like it. They made it too clear. It was as if, I mean, not that it was a scandal on Blueprint's part by any stretch, but like, it was almost like they thought no one was going to look into this. And no one almost did look into this.
No one did.
Yeah. But when you looked into it, quite honestly, and started connecting the dots, like, though, that was a very clear line connecting some dots that needed to be connected to understand why this thing maybe transpired.
Yeah. And should we understand more as to how, right? Like, do fans deserve to know how we got here? It felt so much like a rushed announcement with very little fanfare or very little explanation. It was combined with the whole idea about Kyle Bjornstad being brought in-house. It had many publications had quotes from Kyle about this, about being proud of what he had built, which he should be.
Yeah.
And why he thinks, this is just the way forward for him and the collective and so on. But it's all scrubbed, essentially. Like, there's nothing owned by Oregon State that alludes to that arrangement even occurring, which triggered the sale.
Yeah.
At least on paper, you have to think Kyle Bjornstad, co-founder of the NIL Collective, that can't associate directly but can indirectly with the university per NC2A rules, is now hired for a position that is within the athletic department. And he's brought in-house. Therefore, he can no longer also run the collective. But the collective has suitors. And those suitors are going to buy it and manage it because that's what they do. And this is all great for everybody because that means that we have somebody running the collective that is very, very experienced. At least tells everyone they're very, very experienced in doing so. And then we have our old founder of our collective now in-house to help navigate the whole rev share, contracts, everything else that's involved with the soon to be and already starting future of student athletes being employees, essentially.
Now,
but my point is, this isn't how it happened. That is the narrative I think everyone's brains takes themselves to. Why do you think Oregon State offered Kyle Bjornstad a position in-house?
Clearly to make a path forward for Blueprint to come in.
To force a sale, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's almost more evident now by how scrubbed and promoted his role within the athletic department is publicly. If it's still there, and I hope it is. But I also, again, we've asked for records. We've requested records, public records from the university on a very wide array of potential topics tied to all of this, because this web isn't just as simple as we got screwed in negotiations. Barnes is a bad negotiator. Like, it is bigger than that. I can tell you that already. And this is just one little spoke of this web, is that the trigger point was that Kyle can no longer run the collective. Therefore, we had to sell. But now the university or the donors in some capacity are paying for employees of the new regime to be essentially employees of the university, of the athletic department. And Kyle is nowhere to be found on the staff directory, on any sort of PR announcements. His own Twitter account at Beaver GM, white.
Yep.
All those posts from the beginning of this football season, white. That could be for a lot of reasons, but is it not a little bit concerning with given the entirety of this landscape right now for us?
It's suspicious. And let me put on my tin hat for a second. And
I love your tin hat.
I don't think it's that thick of a tin hat. We talked about it at the beginning of the episode, and we talked about it on previous episodes. The University of Nevada at Reno had a deal with Blueprint where they were taking 20% off the top. And as far as we read, that was the deal, is 20% of all NIL revenue went to Blueprint. Not a great deal. We were bitching about it because that's sort of what we thought may be around the number that Oregon State was going to be getting with Blueprint, but Oregon State gets 75%, or Blueprint gets 75% in the deal with Oregon State. So usually with these types of deals, there's a precedent that's set, and that precedent would have been the 20%. So what would have made Oregon State say yes to 75%? And you add all of this together where Kyle essentially disappears. It's promised a job and is just vanished, which opens the gate for damnation, right? Like that sort of paves the way for what ended up being Blueprint. my first question to Scott Barnes and to Brent Blaylock, if they were on this podcast, which if you're listening, we invite you to come on, would be, why was there not a personnel search for somebody that was connected with Oregon State that could have just slid right into Kyle's role? Why? Like, that would have made too much sense. But instead, we signed this deal with Blueprint, where they get 75% of all NIL deals. Brent Blaylock congratulates Rob Sine. Rob Sine congratulates Brent Blaylock in a deal that's absolutely unprecedented from what we've seen. Is it unfair to ask, is someone getting kickbacks here? Because that's the only thing that makes sense to me. That's the only thing. And I've thought about this a lot. There's nothing else that would make sense as to why this deal was rushed so hastily and why it was such a bad deal for Oregon State. And I recognize that is a incredibly bold accusation, but it's just like the circumstances behind it and the deal itself are built in such a way that, like, how can you not think that?
I am in absolute agreement with that. And there's precedence in a way that might lead us to an answer. Not right now, but as we continue to build more evidence and find more information that Oregon State never thought anyone would put together, clearly, or people within the athletic department never thought anyone would start to put together. Well, sorry, dudes, that snowball is already rolling. It is rolling.
It's going down the hill fast right now.
Big time.
Yeah.
But who was at University of Arizona when their financial fiasco became a big issue?
Yeah, Brent Blaylock.
Where money disappeared. It couldn't be accounted for.
Yeah.
Literally, we don't know where
I forgot about that. Yeah. No, you're 100% right. That was the story that was coming out of Tucson. It wasn't, I mean, they were in financial ruin, but you're right. They were saying, we don't know what happened to the funds.
Brent Blaylock was at University of Arizona when this happened.
Yeah.
And was partnered with Blueprint. If you want to follow the money to figure out where and why, there is precedence. It has already occurred. This has already happened once. I'm going to come out on the record. Maybe I already did last week. I don't remember. But I thought from the get-go that Brent Blaylock hire was a terrible hire. A terrible hire because of the situation that he was involved with at University of Arizona, which I mocked very openly to my brother-in-law who went to University of Arizona. And I also read very closely how and what was transpiring, and then saw that we hired Brent from University of Arizona. It made zero sense at the time. It was like, is he the heir apparent to Barnes? Is that the intention? Why is he here? Because we almost carved out this COO role for him.
That role didn't exist before.
I mean, in ways, yes and no, but it wasn't like a permanent vacated role.
Do you know what role he had at University of Arizona before he came to Oregon State?
He was like a senior director of compliance or associate director of compliance and institutional control. Literally institutional control for an institution that was clearly out of control and had zero understanding of their finances. Or he made everybody feel like there should be some sort of control of finances, and then gave him the MJ shrug when there was no finances left to be found.
And then bolted.
There is something problematic with all of this, and it is not coincidental. It is not coincidental by any means. Rob Sine, Brent Blaylock know each other. How much? I don't know, but I will know. I will fucking know.
Yeah.
And Brent Blaylock is clearly dealing with some shady shit that I don't want involved with my university. Yeah. And I will find out how deep that actually goes. This isn't done. This is not done.
Because here is the matter of fact. And this is, you can't get away from it. In college sports, specifically college football, in today's day and age, NIL is what powers the machine. And if you are not competing for 3 years, because that's how long this contract lasts, Oregon State was already in that bucket of have-nots. Now you slash it by 75%, and you'll slash it by 75% for the next 3 years. That is going to put Oregon State in such a position that it might be nearly impossible to climb out of.
Yeah.
The college landscape, goes without saying, is changing so rapidly right now. But do you really want to start off the new Pac-12, your first, 2 years in the new Pac-12, having an NIL budget that pales in comparison to the likes of Wazoo, to the likes of Boise State, hell, probably to the likes of Colorado State and San Diego State and Fresno State too? Like, we have set ourselves up in a position to be the bottom of the barrel, not just in football, but for every sport that participates in any sort of NIL activity to attract athletes. Like, we have put ourselves, we always fall back on baseball. We always fall back on baseball of saying, when football season's not going right, when basketball season's not going right, well, we can't wait for spring because of baseball. Guess what? Those players, yeah, they're coming here because of the pedigree of Oregon State. They're also coming here because they're getting paid, and that's going away. So I'm talking like every single sport is going to be changed in such a way that it's going to make your head spin.
Yeah. And it's not about Blueprint having like malicious intentions around distribution of funds, that they're going to sit there and go, we're only giving money to football. Everything else gets a share of this 10% that we're bringing in. And I mean, maybe their numbers look fucked up from an outsider's perspective if you actually broke down what percentage goes to which programs and sports between men and women, whatever. And maybe they do their due diligence around, hey, these are the numbers. These are the programs bringing in the numbers. So we have to, fuel the fire. And maybe that's just smart business practice, and they might be in that boat too. But if people won't donate, if businesses won't contribute, none of that matters. None of their good intentions matter.
Yeah.
Around distribution or like making sure that the programs that need and deserve funding get it, if the money isn't there. And again, if the money is coming in and there is a center for women's basketball or a starting pitcher for men's baseball in the portal, and one of the now, which is funny, now like 5 roster schools for Blueprint, which is down about like 20 or 8, down like 80% from like what it was 2 weeks ago, at least on their website, which, by the way, we were added to with the list of the other 24 schools that we listed off when you and I last chatted. And then now
that's now down to 6.
It's now down to 5. So don't you remember when I mentioned like UCLA or Georgia Tech or Washington or UNLV, which they've had?
Oh, yeah. Go take a look at UNLV's situation with their quarterback due to Blueprint.
Yes. All of that. Or Nevada, which we talked about already. All of those logos have been scrubbed from the website now since we brought this up. And then in between, Oregon State, I think we replaced Georgia Tech's logo for a second. And then now it's just Penn State, which is interesting because Penn State's in-house collective, by the way, not their external third-party collective, their in-house collective is not partnered with Blueprint Sports, which I find very interesting because, one, they're on the website, but 2, Rob Sine went to Penn State. He's a big Penn State guy. I have found so much information. Rob, you should just scrub yourself from the internet best you can, because I'm going to get every detail about you. Brent, you too. The fact that he is a Penn State alum, has all of his profile pictures that aren't on professional networks are him at Penn State events or in Penn State gear. Yet Penn State in July announced a partnership not with Blueprint Sports, but with Playfly and Lockerverse Lockerverse, who was a partner of the past regime of damnation, by the way, is not like the fact that they're not partnered with the guy that is running a business that's supposed to be like a leader in this space makes you wonder.
Something.
And then it makes you wonder where are the rest of the logos? Where'd they go?
Yeah.
Why are they not there? Like, did they just not renew after their 3-year deal? Did they back out early? Did they have something else happen in between? I'm not looking into all that shit at all, but I am very, very, very aware of the fact that there is now very little representation of Blueprint Sports, at least on their own listed roster, compared to what it used to be. And maybe, unfortunately, given how it was arranged, at least unfortunately, Oregon State is one of them. And that is something to continue to question. It is something to continue to make sure we get clarity, transparency, answers, everything that we should and deserve as fans. We should not let up until we get what we want from them when it comes to information and answers, because this isn't a backroom deal. This isn't like, hey, bud, yeah, let me hook you up with a job. This is millions of dollars. This is millions of dollars, not from the university, but from the people they convince to contribute and from the people who rightfully have blind loyalty to the school they love, as they should feel comfortable doing. And that is getting taken advantage of. That is problematic. That is very problematic. On a side, I think we should move on. Just really save it. We're gonna cover this. Don't worry.
There'll be more that comes out for sure.
Again, let's reiterate. We have requested records, public records from Oregon State University, and we will outline what we've requested publicly, because I have very little faith that a university that pulled our press credentials for holding a beer that they had served while at a football game in an area that was allowed to have beverages after not giving us any sort of conduct handbook or code of conduct agreement, yet stripping it without any warning, without anything to help make amends. I have very little faith that they will do right by us when it comes to a public records request.
So today we're favorites in the athletic department right now.
It is September 30th. And I am publicly stating right now that we have requested records as of September 29th, 2025. And I will post it all and keep everyone up to date about what information that we get and what information that we find from within those records. And I promise you, it's going to be big.
Yeah.
Big.
That is absolutely the word that we've heard.
Yes.
Is there's more to this story.
Speaking of, and maybe not speaking of, our friend Chris Pendleton reached out. Coach Pendleton, Coach, we'd love to have you on the podcast. You asked us yesterday evening if you can come on. This is an open invite again. I think we've probably given Coach Pendleton many open invites. We love the wrestling program. We love what he's done for it. We love to chat. We miss Coach Nate. But yeah, Coach Pendleton, if you want to come on, name a time and day. We'd love to have you on. No question. We'd love to chat more about whatever you want to talk about. We're open, totally open to it. Your choice. We'll extend that to Brent Blaylock as well. And maybe even Rob Sine. He was very open to do that interview with Sportico, listing out a lot of information that I don't think that the university was expecting him to spill about, like how much he paid for the collective and how they arranged their contracts. But hey, Rob, come on the pod, dude. I know you're probably listening to at least some of it or having somebody listen to it for you. And if you are listening to this for Rob, tell him that the invite's there. I know you're listening. So come on the pod. Open invite. We just want answers, and it could be fun. Also,
yeah, as someone in a sales adjacent position, and you're in sales, I think you can agree with this. I just want to know how you did it, Rob. Like, I just want to know, give me some tips how you put a deal like that together.
It could also be, it worked. And I didn't think it would.
Yeah.
It was the low ball
Probably.
deal that we just tossed out there to see if they'd bite, and it was immediate, which it feels like that could be. So
Could be.
now we're just driving this sales narrative that Blueprint, they're just genius salespeople coming in with the right like pitch and positioning and getting favorable outcomes. And then our athletic department is just sitting there like elementary school kids on career day, listening to a salesperson tell them what they do and being like, whatever that guy wants to sell me, I will just give him my life. That was amazing. I am in. And maybe we're totally off base on this. And maybe we're totally off base on this. And I'll say that again, maybe, and probably not. If we're wrong, someone tell us. Like, come on, tell us, tell our listeners, come on the podcast. Like, again, open invite. Let's talk out loud. Let's have some transparency here, because right now the trust is crumbling, and it's not our doing. It's not fans doing. It's the department's doing.
And here's the thing about trust, because I agree with you. I think for some people, trust has been completely lost. I think other people, they're losing trust right now.
The silence is losing the trust right now.
For 100%. I will say this, and I think it goes without saying, but once you lose the trust of your consumers, which is Beaver Nation, you can't regain that back. Once it's gone, it is gone. And so you guys have to speak up. You have to say something. You can't just sit there on your asses and hope that this goes away, because it's not going away, and we deserve answers. And every second that you let this drag on without giving some clarity on why the deal was brokered, on why the Damnation Collective was not continued as it was in its original form, you are going
Kyle
to
Bjornstad is doing currently.
What Kyle Bjornstad is doing right now, you are going to continue to lose the trust of your fan base, and that is going to put you in an even worse position than you're in right now.
It's a ticking time bomb.
Yeah.
And the longer they go, the worse it's going to be. The worse it's going to be. And I want the best for this school. I want the best for all of our fans, all of our students, all of our student athletes, everyone who works at the school. But this has been a bad look.
And like you said at the beginning of the episode, we have had the back of the athletic department since we started this. When things started to spiral out of control this year, we have had the back of the athletic department. So this is not us trying to expose someone for the purpose of exposing them. We have supported the athletic department through all of this. I'll tell you, like, my trust is completely lost.
This crossed the line. It crossed the line of trust.
Yeah.
There's too much unsaid that I almost feel foolish that I felt so strongly about supporting,
and that we voiced our support in contradiction to a lot of people, I would say.
Yeah.
I think you mentioned at the beginning of the episode that, we got slack for supporting the athletic department. Yeah. Right. Yeah.
And apples to oranges,
sort of
it might
made
not
a
be
fool
for the same reasons, but eventually it's biting us now. I'm not saying that we're speaking up now because it's biting us, but like everyone that we were trying to tell, no, this is a department that has the best interest for Oregon State and the fans and everything else top of mind, has been entirely disproven until clarified. So again, clarify, tell us, speak out, like, come on our podcast, go on the Joe, don't go, you can go on the Joe Beaver show, but that's propaganda. Do something that answers the questions of our fan base who have been involved in this longer than they have.
I know for a fact that Canzano is going to be calling you if he hasn't already. For a fact. So if you want someone that has more traditional media, like, talk with him. Get the word. Do a press conference. Do a press release, something. You cannot stay silent, though.
You cannot stay silent. One thing I think we shouldn't stay silent on, and we can talk about it very quickly, is the game on Friday against Houston. I want to maybe as a segue lead with the idea that on TV, the stands and the fans looked energetic and full.
Yep.
In reality, that was just the magic of television.
I think you're right.
And shout out the students in the Beaver Dam.
Put in 10%.
Despite some theatrics at the end that maybe have put us in a pantheon of fan bases that look sad forever, for eternity, I forgive that solely because the passion was there and it was evident all game long. And so
it was.
Big ups to the students. Thank you for showing up. Please keep doing that. And maybe just feel a little anarchist and rebellious that you're going to go to these games even when no one else will. Yeah. Be cool. Be like, before hipsters were hipster cool, like be anti-establishment and do something that the boomers aren't doing. Do something that the Gen Xers aren't doing. Because if they're not doing it, you should. And if they are doing it, you won't. Do that, which means likely going to Oregon State home games this season, especially after Friday night's outcome. High level, what were your thoughts about the game? Let's go positive first. Let's just go positive takeaways.
I think there was a lot of positive from the game, actually. I really think that we saw the tide sort of flip during that Oregon game, and we got blown out by Oregon, but you could tell it was a different team that came out. It was a team that was fighting really hard. There wasn't any jogging. There wasn't any not playing till the whistle in that game.
Especially on defense.
And you saw, and like, I hate to say it, Oregon just has, the talent gap is just huge. But you saw that continue with Houston. I thought the team played exceptionally well, especially on defense. They played really hard for sure. I think it just sort of came down to, and I hate to say it, but losing is sort of like, it's not, addiction's a bad word, but like when you lose games, sometimes you forget how to win. And I think that's kind of what we saw at the end of the Houston game. We just have not won many games in the last 2 years.
Well, it's self-validating, right?
Yeah. Right.
You feel like this is all fucked.
Yeah. Yeah. Or when Houston scored that touchdown to cut it to 24-17, it's just like, oh, like, is this going to end up like all the other games did? Yeah. Right. And like those thoughts start creeping into your head. And I think that's probably what happened. And once it went to overtime.
Whose head?
Well, everyone on the sideline's head.
I think there's an important head that it went into.
Mr. Bray?
No. No, I have to perform.
Yeah, Mr. Murphy?
No, sorry. You're still missing it. Mr. Gunderson. Ryan Gunderson.
Yeah.
And I say this as somebody who, our freshman year was the year that Matt Moore led us to a pretty decent season in his first year after transferring from, was it Grand Canyon College University? In between UCLA and Oregon State. Love Matt. Great dude. Got hurt in the game before the Civil War. Then we had to go down to Eugene, and it was, Portland Prodigy time. It was our Joey Harrington's turn to take the reins. And Gunderson,
same high school,
did not deliver.
No,
did not deliver.
I think he had 5 picks that game.
It was pretty bad. And then through like 3 more quarterbacks, he never saw the field again.
It's too bad.
I don't think he should see the field at Oregon State again. Period. He played it safe. He started to look at the score and go, no, not this again.
Conservatively.
We can't lose again. And he went away from what was working, like Cornell Hatcher Jr.
Shout out to Cornell. That he had a great game.
Yeah. Huge game. I mean, not just in statistics. He looked the part.
Oh, yeah.
I mean,
breaking tackle. I mean, he
stayed upright. He stayed
100%
strong. I mean, there was fight. There was hunger in his runs that we hadn't seen in a couple years. And nothing against the backs in the room, but like they don't have the physical prowess to run like that. Dare I say, Damian Martinez maybe was the last back that we had who could do that. And the reason why he was a fan favorite with the way he ran was because it reminded you, not just you, but you listener, of another fan favorite, like a Steven Jackson or a Jamar Jefferson. It wasn't as shifty, but maybe more like Ryan Nall. But like, it also reminded you, kind of gave you those glimpses of, well, he's not as big as Steven Jackson, but it's like the hunger, the fight, like Quiz had. Like you just see these elements, and sometimes there's backs who have come through who have one of those things, right? They don't have the size, but they have the hunger. They don't have the hunger, but they have the size. Cornell had both and demonstrated that, and that was so refreshing and exciting to see. And then we were just like, yeah, we're not doing that anymore.
Yeah.
It's like, just can't do that. Sorry. And we're gonna lose the game. There's no positives to take away outside of that on the offensive side. Truly, I would say I think everyone did okay.
Yeah. Murphy had a better game than he had at Oregon.
It still wasn't
I'd
great.
still say it wasn't what I was expecting at the beginning of the season for sure.
There were some really decent throws, good throws, impressive throws. There was also a lot of
missed throws,
and there was a lot of stalled drives at his accord. But like defense showed out. Defense looked alive. Defense looked like they wanted to rip heads off. And that's what I expect the Trent Bray defense to look like. They finally seem to have shaken off the rust and started to buy into what Bray's doing, which I think is perfect. If Bray can run the defense, I don't mind him being head coach. If he can run the defense like he can run a defense as defensive coordinator, I don't mind him being head coach. What I do mind is that we have very poor coaches running offense and special teams, and that is costing us games. Now, we don't have the time to talk about this tonight, but I do think it is fair for fans to say we need to make a change immediately.
Yeah.
I think to this point, right? Like to this point in the season, it warrants it.
Yeah.
The performance
100%.
on special teams and offense for any other program warrants a change.
Yep.
But this isn't any other program. This is a program that is the sky is falling, and in a million ways. I don't think
it is proven to be incapable of making proactive moves. They make reactive moves, but they don't make proactive moves.
I don't think that even if Trent Bray wanted to fire both of them, that he could right now.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, who are you going to put in Gundy's spot?
Who are you going to, what offensive coordinator are you going to promote? It's going to, I mean, it's going to be hard to do much worse, but that will do better.
Yeah.
What special teams coach is going to take the reins and develop a long snapper halfway through the season? Like it's
sort of like you have made your bed.
Yes.
You made your bed with really messy parts, and now you sort of have to sleep in it.
Yes.
Because I'm with you.
College was full of beds with messy parts.
And a lot of times no bed frame or box spring. I know all about messy beds and sleeping in them. And sometimes you just have to do it.
The thing is, like, what do you expect Bray to say right now?
Yeah.
Like he cannot do anything. I wanted him to take action, but the more I considered what are the options and what is the outcome, I truly think it is so much worse for this season, the momentum into next season, the retention play, the donor play, the season ticket holder play, everything will be much worse if the season, it's almost like he's like, the season can't get any worse.
Yeah. It's this weird dichotomy that I feel with the sky is falling, but also everything seems so fragile right now.
Yes, exactly. That's a very good way to put it.
Like it's this weird sort of contracting or contradicting feelings where you're right. Like Bray is in a really tough spot right now where he's getting all the pressure to make a move, but like what move can you really make without making things worse? I mean, Gundy has built the offense to his liking. And so if you have someone else take over, like, I mean, maybe they don't play as conservatively as Gundy played, but it's going to be
But
Gundy's
who's taking
plays.
over in week 6?
It's going to be someone who's never made play calls before.
Yeah.
So you can't expect them to be any better.
So if you think that the rest of the season has favorable outcomes and that even your poorly performing offensive coordinator and poorly performing special teams coordinator could still be a part of the team that squeaks out enough wins to satisfy donors and fans and players, do you really drop them now? Like, that's the part I'm like, yeah, I think that there should be a change. I do. I truly think there has to be a change. And it's not because of results, it's because of performance that led to those results.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I wouldn't call for people's heads just because we're, Owen, even, well, maybe Owen like 10, I would, but like, I wouldn't be calling for people's heads just solely because of bad luck or something.
Mm-hmm.
But it is visible poor performance, poor preparation,
Poor preparation,
poor play calling, poor coaching, but inexperience, worse than the one we have, or the situation we're in, would only make things worse. And so I get why Bray has to say this stuff. I would be more up in arms by the end of the season, no matter how it turns out, if there were no changes.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm not going to be.
Mean in the off season?
Yes, but I will not be raising my pitchforks anymore for immediate firings of anybody throughout this season, because it is just not feasible for long-term sustainability and survival for our program. It's just not.
Yeah.
Sadly, it's not.
No, and I don't think that Trent Bray is going to be here to make those decisions in the offseason. Like, I can not imagine that that's going to be the case.
Okay.
Not that I'm saying.
Do you think he's resigning?
Man, that's a good call, because you want to save face with the university that you went to school at, but also I don't know if Trent Bray is the one to quit. I think he would view it as quitting. I don't think that he'll resign. I think that he'll get fired.
Unless he says, I don't want to be head coach, but I would love to be defensive coordinator.
That's tough, though, because like if you bring in a new head coach, they sort of get to decide who comes in.
Well, totally.
In their staff.
Which maybe opens up that opportunity for him to essentially pseudo quit.
Right. Yeah. And then just find a home somewhere else as a D coordinator. I think that's probably the most likely outcome here, is that maybe something along those lines, or maybe they just both realize like this is not something that's going to work and they cut ties completely. But I don't think that it's going to be Trent Bray that decides I'm taking a step back. I think that's going to have to be the university that makes that decision.
And who's going to make that call, Benny? Is it going to be Scott Barnes? Sleepy Scott Barnes for
Sleepy Scott,
all my Trump fans out there? Or is it going to be slimy Brent Blaylock?
Oh, man.
Because
I have a feeling that
one
Brent
of them is calling the shots.
Do you get the feeling that like Brent Blaylock is like the pseudo AD? Where Scott Barnes is like kind of asleep behind the wheel and Brent Blaylock is sort of pulling the strings?
Yes.
I get that feeling too.
Was it Teddy Roosevelt? Who was it that was essentially their wife was like the?
No, wasn't that FDR?
Yes, FDR. Yes.
Yeah.
And he was essentially like comatose, and his wife would like forge his signature and make him pose for pictures.
Right, because he got polio, I think. Right.
Yeah, I do feel like that. I don't know Scott Barnes' wife, if he has a wife or a partner, but I feel like Brent Blaylock's sitting there in a costume and posing as, partner Barnes in all of this and signing deals and meeting with people and maybe making excuses as to why Barnes isn't there and he is. But yes.
And there's like maybe a slight level of elder abuse going on, possibly.
Just, yeah. Right. You just leave the old man alone. All right.
Yeah. Stop
Barnes,
hitting him, Brent.
Yeah. Barnes, we're just kidding. You're not that old, but if you're feeling old, man, hang him up. Do what's good for you and your health and your family, and maybe clean house on your way out versus taking in a nosedive on your way out. That would be very honorable. That would be very, very honorable. And what's even more honorable is that I'm going to stay within 40 minutes of my limit, beyond the limit that you gave me, Benny, to have this episode. And 1 hour is the limit, but God damn it, we're going to go to, maybe under an hour and 40. I got 40. Well, I got a minute and 40 seconds right now to finish the episode. We're going to wrap it up. Yeah, I don't know about next week. Or who do we play next week? I don't care. Just fucking win. God, never mind. Let's just try to win, please. Really hard. Don't look embarrassing. Don't do something stupid that people are going to find on TV or YouTube or whatever. That's what we're here for. That's what Brent Blaylock is here for. That is what Damn Nation and Blueprint are now here for. Don't join the carousel. Anyways, as part of the carousel of Waldo's, Terry is gone. Go find him. He's somewhere hitting in this episode. If you see him and spot him, timestamp it, send it to us, and we will give you a high five and maybe like $20 to the merch store. You can buy Bray Area tees. You can buy,
but 75% of that is not going to Blueprint.
It's not. No, it's gonna go really all to us, which is not a whole lot of margin. So your 75% will be like 40 cents. And we also now have a new line of Brent the Tent Blaylock merch, which I don't know why it's the 10th, but man, I'm just making up words. So come check us out, belligerentbeavs.com/merch, belligerentbeavs.com. We're French on X because that is what happens when you take X, you turn French, and we are Belligerent Beavs on X/Twitter, and then also Belligerent Beavs on everything else. Give us, oh no, I ran out of time. Give us 5 stars, thumbs up. Give us subscriptions, whatever. We just like to make content that people want to listen to and enjoy listening to. I'm JP, the Trail J, at the Trail J on X. Benny, at BennyL1986 on X. We're all on X. What a party. What a wild night. I guess that's it. I'm not going to do all this closing, but you know what? Whatever. You can't spell chop 'em without hope, so chop 'em.
Chop 'em.
Chop 'em.
And the athletic department, please fucking say something.
Come on the show, Brent.